At exactly 6:30 a.m., I was jolted awake by the relentless chime of my doorbell. It wasn't my alarm or the gentle twitter of birds outside. It was an aggressive, unyielding assault on my front door. My heart raced as I fumbled into slippers, nearly tripping over the bedroom rug's edge. Who could possibly be pounding on my door at this hour? My wife, still half asleep, mumbled something about ignoring it, but unease surged through me. No friendly neighbor would knock like that at dawn. I parted the curtains and saw a neatly dressed woman standing stiffly on my doorstep. She wore a crisp blazer, her chin tilted with an air of self-assured authority. My gut told me this was about the HOA, likely tied to the backyard project I'd been working on. I couldn't have predicted the mess awaiting me, nor how my job get private until now would turn everything upside down. I opened the door, stifling a yawn. The woman's eyes scanned my wrinkled t-shirt and pajama pants with a hint of disdain. "Mr. Bennett, we need to talk," she declared, her tone more command than courtesy. "I'm Linda Harper, president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. You may not know me, but I've certainly heard about you." Her sharp words made my temple throb. Linda, likely in her mid-50s, stood with poised confidence, her manicured nails and tightly curled hair suggesting she'd weathered a storm without a strand out of place. She reminded me of a strict school principal asserting dominance on day one. Before I could respond, she pressed on. "We've had multiple complaints about unauthorized construction in your backyard, a large wooden structure violating at least 3 HOA rules." I took a deep breath, resisting the urge to snap. "Are you talking about the treehouse?" I asked, still shaking off the morning haze. Linda's eyes narrowed as if I'd uttered something offensive. "Yes, that eyesore in the oak tree. This community has strict guidelines on viable structures, and you failed to submit an architectural request." She spat the last part like I'd committed a cardinal sin. Tension tightened my chest, but I kept my cool, reminding myself I was off duty and that Willow Creek's HOA was notoriously rigid. "You might be mistaken about it being an eyesore," I said evenly. "It's discreet, and my kids love it. They've always wanted one, so I built it safely." Her gaze hardened. "We don't accept discreet as a substitute for procedure. We have aesthetic standards to maintain. We can't allow shoddy huts in trees." The jab stung. Truthfully, the treehouse was far from shoddy. I'd spent weekends crafting a sturdy structure, barely viable from the street. The kids had helped paint it a warm brown to blend with the bark. You'd hardly notice it unless you knew where to look. But that didn't matter to Linda. "I'd like you to remove it," she said flatly. "Tear it down by week's end, or you'll face fines, formal complaints, and possible legal action." I blinked, stunned. "That's extreme," I managed, patience thinning. She shrugged dismissively. "If you'd followed the rules, you'd know we don't allow such things. The matter's closed." "Good day, Mr. Bennett." Without waiting for a reply, she turned and strode off, her heels clicking like a judge's gavel. As the sunrise glowed behind me, my blood simmered. Most Willow Creek residents complied with HOA demands, however petty, either too busy to fight or wary of escalation. The association was infamous for fining over minor infractions like off-palette paint or unapproved lawn ornaments. But I wasn't most people. Ironically, my job gave me an edge few in the county could match. By day, I was the county building commissioner, a detail I'd never shared since moving here 6 months ago. My role involved overseeing permits, ensuring safety, and clarifying when structures needed approval. HOAs had their own rules, but they couldn't override county or state law. If my treehouse met code, the HOA scripts were likely just cosmetic. My kids adored it. To designed it with railings, secure fasteners, and safety in mind. They'd invite friends over, creating memories I refused to let a meddling HOA erase. I couldn't let this slide. First, I checked Willow Creek's covenants for any mention of treehouses. After a quick shower and rushed breakfast, I dug into the hefty binder we'd gotten at closing. Pages outlined paint colors, landscaping limits, mailbox designs, and more. Finally, I found a vague clause on external structures like sheds or playhouses. Treehouses weren't named explicitly, just a line about permanent or semi-permanent builds needing approval. The wording was murky, but I saw how the board might stretch it to cover anything in a yard. Still, it didn't ban treehouses outright. It required a review design harmony. Linda's demand for demolition skipped her own process for modifications or exceptions. Typically, you'd submit a request, the board would review, maybe inspect, then approve or deny with reasons. She'd likely taken personal offense, opting to bully me instead of following protocol. That afternoon, my kids came home buzzing with excitement, asking to have friends over to the treehouse after dinner. My eldest, Ethan, was rigging a pulley to hoist snacks up, bragging to classmates about his coolest dad ever for building it. I forced a smile, but anger simmered at the thought of the HOA robbing them of this joy. I told Ethan to go ahead, as no immediate threat loomed yet. The next day, a formal notice arrived, immediate action required, citing an unapproved structure that threatens Willow Creek's harmonious appearance. It warned of daily fines if I didn't dismantle it within 7 days. My wife, Claire, stared at it, fretting about liens if fines piled up. I reassured her they can't do that if we're within county code. The worst they can do is try, but we'll appeal. She twisted her hands, worry creasing her brow. Are you sure? We can't risk the house. The kids would be crushed if we had to move again. I kissed her forehead. I won't let that happen. Trust me. As building commissioner, I felt a duty not just as a dad but professional to ensure fair rules didn't crush personal freedoms. The county might mandate setbacks or structural standards, but a private HOA shouldn't strong-arm anyone into demolishing a safe treehouse. I had to play this smart. I'd seen enough bureaucratic fights to know calm, methodical steps worked best. Gather facts, proceed logically, avoid outbursts. Still, Linda's VY-sit had sparked defiance. Maybe she wanted to provoke me into CVYing, but I wouldn't budge. I called the HOA office expecting someone official but got a voicemail repeating their script. I left a message requesting a formal re-VYEW, citing the bylaw for retroactive approval and offering to present building certifications. I asked for a meeting date. Days passed silence. The penalty letter loomed, threatening fines post-deadline. Claire, feeling helpless, urged me to confront the board in person. I tried, I said. They're ignoring me. It's probably a scare tactic. Soon, a neighbor mentioned overhearing Linda boast about shutting down the new guy's backyard monstrosity. The retired couple across the street, who found the saga amusing, warned me Linda often targeted newcomers. They'd heard she'd hounded a single mom over a greenhouse, calling it ugly until the woman gave in. If you challenge her, they said with a grin, do it publicly. She hates losing face. Tempting as that was, I wanted an airtight solution. I knew state property codes often trumped HOA rules on safe construction. The trick was bridging that gap. As the deadline neared, tension gripped our home. My kids noticed my stress, so I explained the HOA's concerns. They pleaded, "Don't tear it down." I promised I wouldn't, though I quietly dreaded defending that vow if the board escalated. Claire kept their spirits up, suggesting a treehouse party the next weekend to show it was harmless. I agreed, unsure if it'd sway anyone. The night before, I re-VYE'd my treehouse plans. Though a personal project, I'd built it with professional care, calculating load capacity, securing a safe ladder, ensuring stability. I double-checked county codes. We met setback and structural rules. The oak was sturdy, easily supporting the modest weight. I chuckled at the idea of an HOA busybody claiming more expertise than me, then recalled no one here knew my job. I rarely mentioned it, but maybe my low profile let Linda think I was an easy mark. She was in for a surprise. Saturday dawned bright. We set up chairs, a lemonade table, and a welcome to our treehouse sign. About a dozen neighbors came, curious. Many hadn't seen it up close and were impressed that it blended neatly with the tree, not an eyesore. One neighbor asked if his VY-sighting granddaughter could climb up. She squealed with delight at the trapdoor, and my kids beamed like proud hosts. It felt joyful until I saw Linda, Harper, blazer, and all striding in with another board member, a shorter woman clutching a notebook. Without a greeting, Linda said, "I hope you're enjoying your last day with this thing." Her companion scribbled furiously as neighbors fell silent. I stepped forward, calm but firm. "Linda, thanks for coming. I can show you the plans and specs." I requested a re-VYEW but got no reply. She raised an eyebrow. "We don't have to re-VYEW something you built without permission." I countered that the bylaws only required notice for ground-based structures and allowed retroactive approval. Plus, I added, county codes classify treehouses as play structures if they meet safety standards, which this does. Her sneer deepened. Willow Creek's rules exceed county standards. We aim higher. I hid a smile, suspecting she didn't know I interpreted those codes professionally. For now, I held back. Turning to the neighbors, Linda lectured, when one homeowner breaks our rules, it hurts us all. We must protect property values, not indulge whims. She spoke like her word was law, eyeing the crowd for agreement. Mr. Bennett must remove this by tomorrow to avoid fines or legal action. My jaw tightened. It was time to push back. Linda, you're skipping your own process. The bylaws require a hearing for disputes. I've had no invite or formal denial. Why not follow procedure? Her cheeks reddened at the public challenge, but she doubled down. A hearing's pointless. Our design committee and legal counsel say we can demand removal. I doubted any vote had happened at it sounded like a bluff. Before I could call it out, she snapped. Don't blame me when fines hit. The board stands firm and stormed off, her companion trailing. Neighbors mutter, one called it harsh, another noted Linda's habit of targeting newbies. My kids looked anxious, so I smiled and urged them to keep playing. Inside, I decided it was time to reveal who she was dealing with. Claire met my gaze, nodding in silent support. That evening, I drafted a letter on county stationery rare for personal use, but this called for clarity. As county building commissioner, I'd ensured the treehouse met municipal codes, making demands for its removal baseless. I requested an immediate board meeting, copying my office's legal counsel. Monday, I delivered it to the HOA office. By afternoon, Linda called, her voice icy. So you're the commissioner. That doesn't exempt you from our rules. Willow Creek's a private community. I stayed composed. Private rules can't override county safety codes. If it's safe and meets aesthetics, you have no grounds to remove it. I'd like a hearing. She huffed. We'll see about scheduling. Don't get comfortable. And hung up. That day, a coworker tipped me off about an anonymous complaint alleging code violations at my address, likely Linda's doing. I laughed it off but noted her escalation to professional sabotage. Emails from residents followed, outing my job. They aired grievances about Linda, asking me to intervene. I clarified I could only enforce county codes, not private rules, but the buzz suggested Linda's grip was slipping. Later, Linda emailed curtly. The board would meet Friday to address my violation, requesting my presence. I prepared a detailed case plans, photos pro VY in minimal VY stability, insurance coverage, and code compliance. If aesthetics were the issue, I challenged them to specify fixes. Friday, Claire and I entered the HOA's stuffy meeting room. Linda sat at a table with 3 board members, Stephen, Ellen, and a quiet man, Robert, before a small neighbor audience. Linda opened, glaring at me. We're here for the violation at the Bennett residential, unapproved treehouse incompatible with Willow Creek standards. Stephen read a brief. No prior approval, possible aesthetic disruption, liability concerns. Linda turned to me. Mr. Bennett, explain why you think you're exempt. I stood, folder in hand. As county building commissioner, I ensured this meets safety codes. It's barely VY-sible, painted to blend, smaller than some sheds here. Your bylaws don't ban treehouses, they require re-VY-EW, which I'm requesting. I'm open to aesthetic tweaks. Whispers followed my job reveal. Linda's lips pursed. Your position doesn't matter. We prioritize uniformitino overhead structures. I countered. It's below roof height, tucked away. If it's aesthetics, what changes do you want? Her annoyance flared. She hadn't expected compromise. She shifted to liability. A child could fall, and we'd be liable. I produced insurance papers covering the treehouse. My policy covers it, and we locked the hatch, super VYSE guests. It's no riskier than a trampoline. A neighbor chimed in. I have a trampoline, you never complained. Linda snapped. That's irrelevant. Murmurs grew. She pressed, you built without permission, that's grounds for denial. I noted my unanswered retroactive request and offered plans. Ellen, the mild board member, asked to see them. Linda protested, but Ellen nodded at the photos. It's well-built, low impact. How high is it? 8 feet, I said. Branches hide most of it. She agreed it wasn't obtrusive. Linda pushed for a vote to remove it. Stephen hesitated, suggesting a site VY sit for fairness. Ellen seconded. Robert agreed. Linda, fuming, adjourned to Monday. Over the weekend, we tidied the yard. Monday, the board arrived. Ellen climbed the ladder, calling it solid. Robert noted its street and VY stability. Linda grumbled about uniformity, but Stephen suggested conditional approval with a color tweak. Outnumbered, Linda relented. That evening, Stephen emailed. The board voted 3-1 for approval with a minor repaint. He apologized for Linda's rush. The kids cheered. Claire exhaled in relief. It felt like a win for reason. Weeks later, Linda avoided me, reportedly bitter about her defeat. Neighbors said she'd underestimated me. Ellen, introducing herself, thanked me for staying calm, hinting others might now challenge Linda's overreach. We repainted the treehouse a subtler brown, earning neighborly compliments. The kids resumed their adventures and the morning doorbell dread faded. At a community barbecue months later, Linda kept her distance. A resident laughed off her early illegal disaster claim. Stephen and Ellen asked if I'd join the board, citing my fairness. I declined, content with my job. Walking home under streetlights, I glanced at the treehouse's silhouette, grateful we'd saved it. Linda's dawn ambush had sparked a lesson for Willow Creek. One voice shouldn't rule unchecked. Our treehouse stood as proof that knowledge and resolve could protect simple joys, no matter how strict the rules.